What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for I've lost count, and today is Chaos. And in traditional Chaos Day, we've got way less time to talk about a whole suite of interesting rules because we're still going to be coming at you with the 6++ show at 8:30. I'm not. I need a bit of a break. There is going to be more streaming coming on this channel 15 minutes after we go off the air. So we have 1 hour 15, and we've got to fit as much chaos in that time as possible. I reckon we're going to get through 4 indexes. And when I say get through 4, I think we're going to talk about all of the interesting stuff, 5 data sheets, 1 bad data sheet, and then go right to the next. I am joined by the one true demon lord himself. How are you doing, Franco?
I'm good. How are you?
It's hot as balls, man. I am.
Yes, it is.
The worst thing about doing this streaming thing this week is I have to wear clothes, and I am not loving that. It is so goddamn warm.
Yeah, it's way too hot.
It is way too hot. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's not mess about. Let's get straight into it. So we're going to start off with the demons rules because that is the one that you're the most interested in. So
it's the only one I've looked at. I can't lie. I've been for the last 4 hours going through it. So
fantastic. I'm really looking forward to hearing about this because I've spent a grand total of about 20 minutes looking at these rules. Not even that, like probably 5 minutes looking at them. I said that to Franco and I was like, oh, I looked and I had Khorne. I was like, oh, cool, Khorne get devastating wounds. That's their shtick. And he goes, no, that's Slanesh. So obviously I've done a very bad job of skimming the demons. But fortunately, I do have a faction expert here. So how about you quickly run us through the army rule, then we'll go through the strats, the enhancements, and then we'll talk about some data sheets.
Cool. So armor rule, we got Shadow of Chaos, which is a really cool mechanic. So basically, it kind of is like what we have now, but actually a bit more structured. So your deployment zone is always classed being in the Shadow of Chaos, and then obviously you can make no man's land or your opponent's your opponent's deployment zone in the Shadow by controlling half or more objectives in each of the areas, and then if your units are within the Shadow of Chaos, you get loads of different benefits on stratagems and stuff like that, or enhancements. But the actual rules is you get +1 to battle shock tests in the Shadow of Chaos, and if you pass it, you can heal D3 wounds on a model, or if the unit is battle armed, you can return D3 guys back to the unit, which is really good, especially with like pink horrors or plague bearers. So that's really good. And then your opponent also suffers -1 to their battle shock test, and if they fail, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. And spoiler alert, this book or this index has a lot of ways to trigger battle shock tests. So
oh dear,
a lot of that. Yes, a lot of that. The amount of mortal wounds I've seen in this book just with battle shock tests alone, I'm like, oh, quite grim.
Wounds, so, that's very much the name of 10th edition at the moment, I think, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Demons do it very well. So that's the Shadow of Chaos, and then the detachment rule is if you land in the Shadow of Chaos, you can land 6 inches away from your opponent instead of 9 in Deep Strike, which is really good. But it's what demons do, so I'm glad we've kept that in some kind of way.
Absolutely.
So we can get in quite close. And so again, there are multiple ways to get different areas covered in the Shadow. Battlecore has a constant 6-inch bubble around himself.
Very similar to the old Locus of Chaos that he had in 9th edition.
He basically still has a Locus, basically, which is really nice. So
what I really like about this rule is it's not super oppressive in that your opponent says, I'm going to deep strike 6 inches away from you, go fuck yourself, because it's at the start of the phase, and that means that your opponent, if you're playing the non-demons army, you can clear your enemy off the objective markers, make it so they're not holding half or more, and then they don't get the Shadow of Chaos in their turn in the movement phase when they're going to be bringing the models in for deep strike. I really like that.
Yeah, it's not like you there's actual conditions to do it. It's not just you get it,
which feels a lot more fair.
Yeah, I like it because it's not boring. Like you have to actually work to do it, and I like the idea of just these demons trying to make like the warp come out and cover the whole battlefield. And, yeah, I like it. It's quite a fun little mechanic. But
with battle shock feeling a bit more tight, it doesn't feel like it punishes certain units more than others. Like you could come in 3 inches away from my Crute Hounds, for example, in the midboard, which didn't feel great in 9th edition. But
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. So let's not spend too much time on that. Great army rule. What do they get for their detachment? Oh, we've already talked. You get the.
I did. I rolled it into one. Yeah.
Perfect. I didn't even realize you're too efficient. So stratagems. They've got a good suite of strats. What do we got?
Yeah. So I don't think we've got any bad strats, to be honest. So you got corrupt rule space, which is that the sticky objective one? Yeah, sticky objective.
Yeah.
So you jump on an objective, sticky it, and then if your opponent wipes you off it without getting to it, you don't care because it's still yours, which is really good with obviously keeping the shadow up. So that's a great strat. I think I've seen a few different factions of that kind of strat. I think that's a really good
It's
ability to
normally a
have
data sheet ability though, instead of a CP strat. So it'll be
crew,
interesting to see whether CP are too limited to make that punishing, or if that's actually better because you've kind of just got it and you're like, well, sucks to be you.
Exactly. It's a really nice ability. I think sticky objectives is quite good for this edition, especially if you've got abilities like the Shadow of Chaos which rely on you controlling objectives. We've got Drought of Terror, which you basically increase the AP of your weapons. I don't know. Am I reading it right?
Yeah, increase your AP of weapons by 1.
The AP of your weapons, yeah. I was reading it. I was like, I know it doesn't. And then I thought I misread it. I was like, oh, I doubt it.
And then you get to reroll wounds against battle shock targets as well, which is very valuable.
Which is, again, demons have loads of ways to trigger battle shocks, which is nice.
I love that this is shooting or fight phase, so you can just turn on reroll wounds. And you said that there's lots of ways to get devastating wounds as well. I don't know if you've worked this out by now, guys. Devastating wounds plus rerolls is a pretty good combo. Like that's just good.
Yeah, this will be very good on certain Slanesh units, especially with some of the combos you can pull off by getting critical hits on 5s instead of 6s. And
oh, you love to see it, and by that I mean I hate to see it because I'm not going to be playing demons.
There's some good little combos there. We've got Warp Surge, which is basically advancing charge if the unit is in the shadow.
Yeah,
so that's really good. The funny thing is Be'lakor can always do this because he's always in the shadow, which is cool.
I'm so upset to see that. I'm really just not happy about that.
So happy we've got an advancing charge strat. When I saw it, I was like, yes. Obviously, you got to be in the shadow to do it, but again, there's multiple ways you can do that. So.
But because that happens in the charge phase, you have chance to set that up. So your opponent can't even really stop it because you grab it in the movement phase, and then you go, cool, now I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, it's very hard to stop that. So, and there's some units that really will benefit from that. So that's really good.
The next one's even worse.
Denizens of the Warp. So you can come in 3 inches away when you deep strike. You can't charge afterwards. But for units, it's really good for move blocking. It's really good for coming in if your opponent hasn't completely covered the objective, landing on the objective 3 inches away, just still objectives.
And there might be some quite good shooting units now for Zeech, maybe, perhaps.
Soul Grinders, any of the characters,
Even just Herald did some pink horrors are probably going to put out some unpleasant firepower.
You can really do some work with the Heralds have some really good shooting, and the horrors you can get sustained hits from a character, and
anyone against GSE knows that it's very unpleasant to have to screen out a 3-inch bubble, and they have it on a single unit, so when they come in, it's gone. This is just for 2 turns you've got to screen this out. I hate this already.
Well, technically, if I'm not mistaken, it costs EP, but you can kind of continuously do it because of this next strat. You can either pick 2 units if they're in the shadow or 1 unit if not in the shadow.
Oh no!
At the end of your opponent's turn, and then they come back on in your next reinforcement step.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you can do that even after like turn 3 because it doesn't. So you can't.
Yeah.
And then you can just use that strat to bring you in 3 inches away.
Yeah,
so
those
strats, 5 if you want.
Those strats always supersede the ability to the limitation to strategic reserves and being stuck. So you can do that on turn 5, which is oh boy, that's going to be a whole thing.
Demons are going to be everywhere, and they're going to keep jumping across the board, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the Grey Knights versus Demons matchup because both of them are going to be very fast armies. So
well, I mean, Grey Knights are scary. I can't lie. I don't like them.
You would say that as a Demons player. So the last strat we got here.
demonic invulnerability, so you can reroll your invulnerable saving throws of 1, which are really nice considering a lot of key units tend to have a 4-up invuln. On pretty much all the Zinch units, it's really nice. Big characters, Bloodthirsters, Be'lakor, Starbrand, Pink Horrors, Blood Crushers, all 4-up invuln. So rerolling ones is really nice, especially if you really need to keep that key unit alive. So so I think all the strategies are good. There's not a single one I look at and I think
all 1 CP as well. We're seeing a lot of that. Some armies have 2 CP and that feels quite punishing, but the armies with 1 CP strats, that might be a problem for us to deal with. But yeah, no, that looks good. There's like a really good toolkit here. So there's not much in the way of supercharging. You've got 1 strat here to make your to like boost your damage, but it's mostly just about positional play.
It's all movement based or shenanigans with your deep strikes, which is, I mean, demons are a very movement based army, so it makes sense.
I'm a big fan of that. So enhancements, I think the only faction to get. Oh no, you still only get 4. You don't get an undivided one.
No.
Oh, that's a bit odd.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it doesn't make sense to have an undivided one because our 2 undivided units have to have a mark anyway.
Oh, okay.
The only one unit that isn't undivided is Be'lakor. Is undivided, sorry, is Be'lakor, and he can't take.
He's not even undivided. He just has all of the keywords. So he's.
I don't think he does anymore.
Oh, okay. I like I said,
I can't fully remember. I can't fully remember. Someone told me he lost all the keywords. I might be wrong.
Sure.
But we'll get there. So so the enhancements. You got Argath, the King of Blades, which is, I mean, in name returns. Slightly different, but I really like it. On a Bloodthirst, it's really good. Basically, you get +1 strength, +1 attack, or if you're in the Shadow of Chaos, you get +2 strength, +2 attack. So
very nice.
Your Bloodthirst with the big axe could be strength 17 with 8 attacks, -3 d6 +2 damage, or like strength 18, 9 attacks. If Starbrand's nearby, another extra attack.
I guess the downside to this is sweep profiles are just there, so you don't get like the benefit of having an extra attack on your sweep. It's only +1, it's not +2. So I guess that might change where you want to put it, but if you put it on someone who you want to use the big attacks on anyway, I guess you don't really care.
That goes on a Bloodthirster. 100% goes on a Bloodthirster. With the big axe, so that's really good. And again, some of the combos you can do with. There's another combo with one of the chariot characters. Quick, I just run it through quickly. It's really nice. Where he can pick a unit within 18 invisible to him.
Okay.
And then any corner unit that targets that unit in the fight phase gets +1 strength, +1 AP, +1 damage.
Okay.
It's absolutely ridiculous when you look at some of the units. So you can have, obviously you're looking at throwing a lot of things into certain units. So if you have like Starbrand around and the Bloodthirster with this on, he's chucking out like 10 attacks and D6 +3 damage and like it's insane. So then we got the Endless Gift, which is an Urga one, and at first I wasn't too keen when I saw the Great Unclean One's data sheet. Looking at it more today, I like it more, and with this I really like it. So it gives the bearer 5 up for no pain, but if they're in the Shadow of Chaos, seeing a theme here, when you're in the shadow you get better. It's a 4 up for no pain. So a Great Unclean One, toughness 12, 4 up in 120 wounds, 4 up for no pain. That's quite it's quite grim. Like that guy is not going down, not easy. So yeah, I really, really like that. We've got the Everstay for Zinch, which is gonna be good on any of the little characters, really, or any of the characters, because they're all shooty with their psychic shooting. But if you're the Lord of Change, is a very shooty character now, so this on him is not bad either. So you get if you're outside of the shadow, you get +1 to the strength of your range attacks and +3 inch range to them as well. If you're within shadow, you get +2 strength and +6 inches to your range, which can.
Not too shabby.
No, it's not bad. So it can turn his little rod of sorcery from 12 inch to 18-inch range, make it strength 10, and then make his bolt of change strength 11.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can turn from winning things on like 4s and 5s to like 3s or 4s and 3s. That's not bad. And then, again, like with all the littles into characters, they all got some kind of decent shooting for the psychic. So this is good. This is actually a really good little enhancement.
Nice, yeah. Just to very quickly go back to this one. I did have a peek at the data sheet for the big fat boy. What's it called? Great
Ground
clean
clean
one.
one.
Yeah, that's the one. He gives an aura of 6 up, feel no pain. So this is very nice because it makes him more survivable. So it gives your opponent
Yeah.
quite a difficult choice. It's like, well,
Yeah.
do I
So if
chew
you're
through the
taking,
4 up,
yeah.
or do I just kill the stuff that's being buffed more efficiently around him?
Mhm. So if you're taking a lot of Nurgle, yeah, he's giving up 6 up for our pain while sitting on a 5 up or a 4 up for our pain, and it can be a real like pain in the butt to chew through.
And doesn't he have something, and I can't remember, something like T12, 20 wounds, 4 up invuln as well? So
Yeah,
a little bit of a beefcake there.
he does. So yeah, yeah, he's and rightfully so. He should be that tough. Like
Sure,
he's been
sure.
missing that for a bit. So yeah, he
Yeah,
should
he
be.
really has. Yeah.
Um, so the Soul Stealer, which is the Smeshy one, probably. I mean, it's still decent. And again, keepers are quite good. So this is good on a keeper.
Mm.
Um, essentially, anytime the bearer destroys a model with a melee attack, you roll a dice and you get to add 1 if you're within the Shadow of Chaos. And on a 4+, you get a wound back. Keepers are actually surprisingly tough because they're naturally -1 to hit always.
Okay.
You can get a 5 up for our pain if you take the Aegis, which is the shield that they can take,
Mm.
which you're going to take because it's the best upgrade on her.
Yeah.
And then just being able to heal the wounds back, so they can again be quite hard to bring down if you don't put the right damage into it.
Okay.
Yes, I'm seeing a bit like I think the monsters are actually. At first, I was a bit worried about less lethality, but yet the game seems to be getting a bit more lethal with certain like strength 18 and damage 12 guns and all this. But some of the big monsters seem to be quite tough, which is nice. And Endless Gift and Soul Stealer really help 2 of them stick around, while the other 2 are more damage based. So
Okay.
nice little bit, nice couple of enhancements. I think they're quite nice. I don't think any of them are bad again. I think they've all got their uses.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on points, but you're probably taking at least one of these, especially if you run like a mono god, which there doesn't seem really any reason to other than fluff. But
There's no bonuses.
yeah, so if you, for example, want to play Zinch Demons this edition, you're probably taking the upgrade because there's only one. So that's a little bit of a shame, but I guess they couldn't really just give them 16 and be like, sucks to be everyone else.
No, we'll wait to the codex when everyone starts getting, because Marines will have like 10 or 12 of the fucking things while we're sitting here with 4, and we'll have to wait till like next year till we get our codex. So
Yeah, well, with the base index that we've seen so far, I don't know if we're going to see people going away from that immediately. Turns out the rules that they've got in there are pretty solid, but who knows? They could print something even better. So we're on to the data sheets. Where have you got any numbers for me? Have you got some page numbers?
well, I mean, I kind of want to start with Scarbrand, who is literally the first one.
Excellent. What a great place to start.
I know, only because I'm on a bit of a Scarbrand trip. So I love Scarbrand. I love his lore. I love his model. I was a bit against him just because I hated the fact that he always gave everyone all these buffs as well as yourself. But recently, I've got him out of the box, decided to paint him and using my last event for 9th, and I've caught myself up in a bit of a Scarbrand simp recently. So when I saw his rules, like I was like, oh, he's still good, but he's even better, and he doesn't benefit the opponent anymore. So he's only got his 8-inch movement, but fly is nowhere near as good as it used to be. So I don't feel so bad that he doesn't have it anyway.
That is true.
Yeah, and again, he can drop in close with Shadow of Chaos and all that, so that's quite good. Toughness 11, which is decent. He's got a 4+ save, and monsters can benefit from cover and 10, can't they?
That's true, yeah. So against AP0, he could theoretically be having a 3-up save there.
Cover save, which is nice. But a 4+ invuln, 20 wounds, leadership 6+, OC of 5. The OC of 5 is really nice. He's got Bellow of Endless Fury, which is Torrent, ignores cover as you expect with a flamer weapon. 12-inch range, 2d6, yeah. Strength 5, no AP1 damage. It's alright. And then he's Slaughter and Carnage, which if he strikes, he gets 8 attacks, which he gets an extra 1 because of one of his auras. So he'll have 9 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 16, -4, 6 damage, which is
that's a really good profile. That is really solid. I like that. Yeah. Like the AP1 feels a little just because I'm expecting to see a lot of Marines.
I mean, that's on the sweep. On the strike, he's
sure. Yeah. But like I was going to say, it's still a 2 damage sweep. We're not really seeing much in the way of 2 damage sweeps, so that's pretty cool.
Really good. Yeah, strength 16 attacks, hit on 2, strength 8 -1, 2 damage on the sweep, which is great. He gives. I've just realised he doesn't benefit from his +1 attack aura because it doesn't. benefit monsters and vehicles, which is annoying. But
Oh,
he,
that's a shame.
he gives all Khorne demon units within 6 inches that aren't monsters and vehicles +1 attacks, which is really good on another unit we're going to get to in a minute, which are, in my opinion, one of the best units in the index now.
Very nice.
And then he also has another aura, which is while a unit is within 6 inches of him, each time that unit is selected to fall back and must take a leadership test. If that person failed, that unit must remain stationary this phase. So he can still stop the unit falling back, which is
Funnily
really good.
enough, he can't fall back unless he passes the leadership test. Your units can't as well. So I do like that bit is still.
But he's Scarbrand. You should.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like that's agnostic of anything else.
I get it, but at the same time, I think you're going to place him in an area where it's going to benefit you more than hinder you. I would say.
Yeah.
But it is a really good ability, especially against armies like Votan and Tau and Guard, etc., etc.
Or even
and
just
then,
anyone who wants to be charging you because they get charge bonuses.
Yeah, true.
Like anyone with fallback and charge, you're just like, nah, I'm not stuck in here with you. Now that
with me.
Yeah, exactly. Charging is so much stronger. Yeah,
so,
cool.
Definitely. And then I just want to also bring up, so everyone or all the bigger stuff now has if you have 7 or wounds or less than 6 wounds or whatever, you're generally -1 to hit.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Scarbrand doesn't have that. If he has 7 wounds or less, he gets +2 attacks to slaughter and carnage.
I fully just glazed over that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So he's up to 10 attacks.
I just laughed. I was like, that's actually phenomenal.
That is good.
Yeah,
like we've seen stuff like that.
You.
We've seen similar with Gaz, where he gets more attacks, but was weapon skill, I think it was, or was strength. But this guy just straight up gets buffed. The closer to death he is.
He's just angry. He doesn't care what happens. He's just going to punch in the face.
Existence in the chat says Juggers by chance. I haven't even seen them, but is that
funny you should say that. The next unit on page 24 is Blood Crushers. Yeah.
Blood Crushers. So
page 20, page
no worries, my man. It was close enough for me.
So Blood Crushers are in my opinion, one of the coolest looking units for demons, and I've loved them for so many years, but yet they've never been the greatest unit. But I do think in terms of that definitely changes because now they're pretty insane. More so once you add in one of the characters as well, they get better. But they've stat line wise, they've got a 10-inch movement. They are mounted, so they have to go around.
Before you say any more words, let me just stop you there. I've just had a quick check. So Bloodletters are T4. So mounted bikes, anything like that, you typically get +1 toughness. What the fuck is that toughness 7 doing there? That is insane.
That's what I'm saying. They're just nuts. So 10-inch movement, toughness 7, 4 wounds, a 4+ armor, so they can get 3+ armor benefit from cover against AP 0. 4+ in-run, which is amazing. They're OC of 2 as well, which is just
that is nice.
Great. And a leadership of 7, which goes down to a 6 with the icon.
I love how you're so obviously a demons player because you're getting excited about a 4-up armor save because they can get cover. Because obviously you haven't been able to get cover for the last edition.
I'm a demon player. Like we don't do cover. So when I'm like, I can do this.
New rules for me.
I know, yes, I can do what everyone else does. But so combat wise, I don't know what DW's obsession is with just making bloodletters just a bit
anemic,
underwhelming in combat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the guy on top has 2 attacks, hits on 3, strength 5, -2 damage. I mean, it's a decent profile. Only 2 attacks, but there are many ways to buff that.
Sure.
So it's not too bad. And then the Juggernaut's Bladed Horn, 4 extra attacks. It does have Lance, so it's +1 to wound on the charge. Hits on 4, strength 6, -1 damage. So they're not bad. Again, there's a way to buff that. We'll get onto that in a second. But the key bit, apart from the stat line being a decent stat line, this is the best bit. And I've seen so many people talk about this wrong. So I'm going to go for this exactly word for word. Each time this unit ends a charge move, select one enemy unit within engagement range of that unit and roll 1d6 for each model in this unit. For each 4+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So I've seen a lot of people say when they charge every Blood Crusher in engagement range, you roll a dice roll. It's like, no, you pick a unit within engagement range and you roll for every model in the unit. So the Blood Crusher doesn't have to specifically be in engagement range, just the unit has to be.
That's
so
good.
you're rolling,
you can get up to 7 models in there because of a HQ as well.
Yeah, exactly, which I'll quickly briefly touch on him. So 7 dice, like 3 and 4 ups, doing D3 mortals. Like the spike on that can be insane. insane. So on
Yeah.
average,
I mean,
you're
it's
doing
7
6
mortal
to
wounds
8
on average.
mortals. Yeah, oh yeah, 7 mortal wounds on average.
Yeah.
So which is pretty nuts, to be honest. Before they
Yeah.
even punch anything, they get plus on the charge burst. They have their horn, which you're going to
Really
give them the
nice out of
horn.
deep strike.
Yep, and then you can attach the skull master, which is the herald on Juggernaut. He gives the bladed horns on the Juggernauts and devastating wounds, which is, you know, it's nice. And so the mortal wounds that these guys can just shit out is insane.
Yeah.
But I think this next war is actually pretty insane. It's good.
Yeah. It
So
looks good.
yeah, so when you charge, after you've charged, you each unit you've made it into engagement range with must take a battle shock test. And again, if you're in the shadow, you're triggering more mortal wounds. Like these
Is that
guys,
on the Lord on Juggernaut, the rule there?
on the skull master, yeah.
Yeah.
So and so
This
he
is
puts it
what
on.
this is what Thunderwolf Cavalry wishes it was. This
Yes,
is
yeah. They are Khorne's equivalent to the Fondles, except
the
good.
better
So
equivalent.
yes, so Blood Crushers finally feel so great, and I'm looking up at my paint desk, and I once I saw the it got leaked a few weeks ago on or not leaked, revealed. I got them all out of my box sitting on the sun. I'm like, right, I want to see what combos I can make before I get them ready, but I'm going to be
Sure.
painting them furiously ready for Bristol next weekend because they are amazing.
Very nice.
So that's the Blood Crushers. We're going to move off Khorne now because I don't want to do all Khorne.
We only have 5, so
Exactly. I've only got 3 more, so I'm going to go to Mr. Fate Weaver next because I actually think he's very good. And on page 31.
all right.
So, Mr. Fate Weaver has a 12-inch move with fly, toughness 10, 6 up armor, but a 4 plus invuln, 20 wounds, leadership 6, OC 5. He's got Infernal Gateway for his sidekick range attack, which is blast, and indirect, which having some kind of indirect is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he can focus it if he wants to, which turns it so it's 24-inch range. It's D6 plus 3 normally, or D3 plus 6 shots if you focus it. Hits on 2, strength 9, minus 2 normally, minus 3 on the focus, and then always D3 damage. So it's a really good shooting attack. His star for tomorrow, which is his combat weapon, 5 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 8, minus 2, 2D3 damage. So
That's
it's not
fine.
too shabby.
Yeah.
He does it pretty good. And then we've got his 2 little rules. One head looks forward, so each time you target a friendly Zinch unit within 6 inches of him with a stratagem, you roll 1d6, and if the result of the dice is greater than the turn or the battle round number, you gain a CP. So it's just a good way to spend that 1 CP on your stratagems and then gain it back without losing
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Just to clarify for anyone who hasn't seen it, you are still capped to gaining 1 CP a battle round, so you can't just farm infinite dice. But he's still very good.
1 CP plus the battle round CP. So
1 additional CP, I should say.
Yeah, 1 additional CP. Yeah. So but still, it's really nice. Like you spend your 1 CP on a Zinch unit and then get it back. Very nice.
On turn 1, that's a 2 up to get a CP.
Exactly, which is very nice. And then this part, so since CP is a lot more scarce now, or you're going to be more careful when you use it, this stratagem's really good. So it's his rule, sorry, not stratagem, which is exactly the same as he already had in 9th. And so after your unit, once for battle after an enemy unit uses a stratagem, from now on, anytime your opponent attempts to use that stratagem, it costs 1 CP, an additional 1 CP.
Yeah, this is the vector effect, as it's been called since 8th edition. Basically, you're going to pick your opponent's best strat. It's probably going to be like, for example, Armor of Contempt against Space Marines if you're running a lot of like AP1 and 2. There's going to be a lot of like go-to strats for factions, especially now there's only 6 or 7 each. And you're going to make it not this turn, but next turn you've got to pay an extra CP. I think we haven't seen the ordering, but I'm expecting to see that when a Space Marine captain or similar makes a strat go to 0, it then gets increased to 1 after that. We haven't seen that, but I think that's how they'll rule it. So it'll be nice and punishing for those big Death Stars. They won't be able to do their combo for free even without this.
So I think it's a very good little tech piece to have. And I think Fate Weaver is just very good. He's quite tough. And his indirect fire from Infernal Gateway is great.
Yeah, I missed that it was indirect fire. That's really nice.
Yeah, I like that. It's very good. So I've got 2 more units left, and I don't know what to go with. I really love Blue Horrors, but don't think I'm going to go on them. I like Pink Horror as well. I'm not going to go with them. I think I need to focus and show a bit of love to the other stuff. So I think we'll go with Seekers of Smash because they look quite interesting.
Yeah, have you got the page number there by any chance?
I'm just going to grab it for you. Somewhere towards the bottom, I know that.
No worries. I'll start looking for it, and we'll get there together. Probably.
It's where it all freezes. Like you're looking for it, and then it goes no, no more stuff. I'm gonna say 80s and 90s. Not 80s, 90s, 100s maybe.
Here we go. Seekers, got him.
What page are we on?
101.
101. Ah, there we go. I got to it. Right. So, Seekers, 14-inch movement, toughest 4, 7 up save, so 5 up in 1, 2 wounds, leadership 7, down to 6 with the icon, OC 1. I just like how fast that they can be. So combat wise, just quickly looking at that, they've got their lashing tongues from the Seekers themselves, which is 2 attacks, hits on 4s, lethal hits, strength 4, no AP 1 damage. But the slashing claws, which is what Demonettes have as well, and it's going to you're going to see a trend next stuff. Yeah, so slashing claws, have devastating wounds, 3 attacks, hit on 3s, strength 4, -1 damage. Like really good. They're better on the Demonettes because of the buffs you can put on the Demonettes and combinations and that, but just in general, Slanesh will be just shitting out devastating wounds, and it's really fun.
Do they have any way to re-roll their wounds? Is that something that's easy to get hold of? Well, I'm going to assume yes, just given the way that these books are written.
I'm pretty sure Demonettes can. I can't remember. I'd have to have another look.
Yeah, let's just have a quick look at the Demonettes themselves. Oh no, they reroll hit rolls. Okay, cool. So maybe they just haven't given this this unending, endless wounds, devastating wounds.
Well, Demonettes with a certain character can actually get devastating wounds on 5 ups, which is funny.
No. Let's not talk about that just for my sanity.
So, they also, so Seekers now have scout move of 9 inches. So a 3-game move of 9 inches with a 14-inch move on top of that. +1 to charge. They can you can roll. They can re-roll advance and charge rolls. And if you shadow, which on turn 1 is quite easy to do, if you go first, you can advance and charge. Sorry, so they can just essentially just leap across the board turn 1 and just jump into anything.
They can go anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, just a big block of 10 of them, just being a real pain in the butt.
They are absolutely a glass cannon, but my god, when they cannon, 100%,
they cannon hard. They shatter after, but they just smash into something and they do a lot of damage. So just as a quick unit that I really like the look of from where they were to where they are now. Just the scout 9-inch move is really cool.
It is, yeah.
On a unit that's already stupidly fast.
I think it's a bit much actually, but you know. They are glass cannon, so
they are. Obviously, all of these opinions and all of this depends on point.
Of course.
But I can't see them costing too much.
No, they traditionally haven't been super expensive.
No, so
I'd expect them to be like 1.5 to 2 Demonettes.
Yeah, they're probably about 16, 17 points maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So. I don't know whether I should go with Be'lakor. I feel like everyone's seen Be'lakor, and everyone knows what
he was in the reveal. So
he's nowhere near tough, but he can just stop you shooting at all the demons, which is cool. So I want to go with the Soul Grinder. Soul Grinder's cool, and I think it's really good now.
Have you got a number for that one?
111.
Hey, fantastic, good man there.
So 8-inch movement, T11, 3 up armor save, which means you can get a 2 up with cover.
That is quite nice. That is legitimately good.
Yes. 14 wounds, leadership 7, OC 5, 4 up in 1. So fantastic
pretty
profile
tanky.
in my opinion. So it's got a lot of different range weapons, but Harvester Cannon it always has. So 36-inch range, 3 shots hitting on 3s, strength 10 -1 3 damage. So the -1 isn't amazing, but the strength 10 3 damage is pretty good. It's got a good amount of range on it as well, so you can sit back with that thing, have it be benefited from Be'lakor's you can't shoot us outside of 18, and then he can just shoot you, which is quite funny. And then you can basically pick one of the marks of chaos for it, and depending on which one you pick, you get one of these 4 shrink attacks. So if you pick
Oh, that's
Corn,
very cool.
you get Torrent of Burning Blood, which is ignores cover Torrent, 12-inch, 2d6, strength 5, -1 damage. So it's okay. You want to be close to do it, but then, I mean, that's very corny, so it makes sense.
Sure.
Then Bombardment, which is the Nurgle one, which is pretty decent. Blast, indirect, lethal hits,
That's okay.
which is a great set of rules I have. 36-inch range, d6 plus 1 shots, hitting on 3s. Strength 7, -1, 2 damage, so it's not too shabby. Indirect is good, blast is decent, lethal hits are, not bad.
Yeah.
If you go Sinesh, you get Scream of Despair, which is Devastating Wounds. Again, like I said, Sinesh just shoots out Devastating Wounds everywhere.
They really do.
Sustained hits 1, 24-inch range, 6 shots, hitting on 3. Strength 9, -2, 2 damage. So actually, that's not bad. Now I'm looking at that more. I'm like, oh my god, that profile that's pretty decent.
That is good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, really good. And then
it's an average of 5 hits. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. And then my first favorite out the gate is Warp Gauge, which is Zinched, which is Blast, 48-inch range, D3 shots, hitting on 3s at strength 12, -2, D6 plus 2 damage.
The funny thing is that's just a great Terminator killer. I think on my initial flip through, there was a way to remove cover from units. Like if you shoot something, maybe it was the Zinch Chariot, its psychic power removed cover from a unit you shot.
Yeah, it's the Burning Chariot.
So this suddenly really scares Terminators. You're hitting on 3s, winning on 2s. Anything that they fail just immediately goes through. So they really have to slap that whatchamacallit.
It gives you something that you don't get a lot of in Demons. That's some really high strength. Well, it just gives you some really good high strength range damage.
Yeah, so it's better than a Lascan in every respect, really.
It literally is. So and it's Blast, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
So that's all the shooting attacks. I think my favorite, at least to start with, is Zinch. But I think Nerve also has some play. Sinesh definitely has some play. I think Corn is in there. I don't think Corn's that good.
Okay. So the thing that I think is quite nice is that this is an ignores cover torrent weapon. So if you put him in the center of the board and you want a little bit of board control, if you're considering like Eldar are going to be quite high in the meta,
true.
Having a strength 5 AP1 flamer terrifies me as someone who's planning on playing Eldari for at least 3 months. I don't like seeing flamers, especially ones with AP.
Yeah, even better when you have also got a ways to reduce toughness of units. So taking your toughest 3 out of the toughest 2 and winning on 2
boy. Just quickly to say as well, Existence says the Hellfire's trauma from yesterday is still strong, talking about the devastating wounds from the Death Watch book. That's pretty good. I'm expecting it to get fixed. I hope it gets fixed because that I don't think we've even seen the worst devastating wounds unit to cope. That's the highest, but we haven't seen the worst. Wait until Thursday. There's some bullshit coming.
I also like Fate Weaver because just the ability to just go, that strat is bollocks. I'm not letting you do that every turn.
I do like that. Yeah, that is very nice.
It's another good bit of tech for that. And then melee wise, he comes with the Iron Claw, which is 5 attacks, hits on 3, strength 16, -3, D6 plus 2 damage. That's fantastic melee profile. And then you can either take the Warp Claw, the Warp Sword. The Warp Claw is so much better. But so you get 6 extra attacks with the Warp Claw, hit on 3, strength 8, -1, 2 damage, or 3 extra attacks with the sword, hit on 3, strength 8, -2, D6 damage. So yes, okay, you got a little bit more AP and potential for a higher damage ceiling with the Warp Sword, but you got double the amount of attacks with the Warp Claw, and you're always damaged too. You don't have to worry about rolling those ones on the damage. So I just think overall you go with the Warp Claw. Because you've already got the Iron Claw to do the big punchy things, so just extra attacks if you need it into smaller stuff. Nice.
Yeah, and then obviously it does have Scuttling Walker, can move over terrain as if they were not there if it's under 4 inches, which is just nice to have.
Which is really good.
Not to rush you, but we have used 40 minutes of our 75 minutes
really?
on one faction. That was expected. Don't worry about it. This is you are the guy who wants to talk about Chaos Demons, and I'm very happy to have you do that. No, this is good. This is why you're here. So how quick, just like super hot take, how are you feeling about Demons?
Oh, I'm very happy. Yeah, I've got so many ideas running through my head. My first 10th edition is 10th edition event is next weekend in Bristol, and I'm just waiting for the points basically. But I've got so many ideas running through my head. I've got loads of pages of notes. So yeah, I'm happy.
Excellent. So it looks like quite a deep index there. We'll see how that one picks up. We're going to go straight into Chaos Knights because that's the one that I want to talk about the most.
Yes,
Um,
that's your
so
wheelhouse. Not. Mm-hmm.
let me just share screen to that one because I've managed to unclick it. I think it's here. Boom. So we're going to super quickly summarize. Harbingers of Dread. You get a bonus from turn 1 onwards, and you get a bonus from turn 3 onwards. These stack. So turn 3, you're getting both of the bonuses. So on turn 1, enemies within 12 inches from you are -1 to their battle shock and leadership. Basically, just what they've got right now. It's an aura of dread, an aura of despair.
Very good.
Absolutely. Turn 3 onwards, if your opponent is battle shocked, you get +1 to wound. And if they attack you while they're battle shocked, they are -1 to hit. So you do more damage, and they are tankier. You are tankier, sorry.
Oh, that is good.
It is good. I think the +1 to wound might not be as exciting as maybe initially thought, because there's going to be a lot of very high tough strength in here. But if we're seeing big stompy robot battles, this could be something that really tips the odds in your favor.
Or loads of big greater demons, that's quite good against.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
We got Super Heavy Walker. It's just the same as it always has been. He can move over stuff as you'd expect. And Dreadblades, this is the other faction that lets you soup out. If your entire army is Chaos, you can include 1 unit. Well, 1 Titanic Chaos Knight or 3 War Dogs, because spoiler, War Dogs not a unit anymore. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Nice. So the faction, not the faction rule, the detachment rule, which is if an enemy unit in the command phase is below starting strength within 12, they have to take a battle shock test. This, as far as I can tell, stacks with the take a normal battle shock. I will maybe be corrected, but as far as I can tell, this just means that if you're below half strength, take 2 battle shock tests. That's painful. That is really painful.
Yeah, that's not nice.
We'll see if that gets clarified because it doesn't spell it out, but that's how I read it because there have been some things saying that you can't make someone take 2 battle shock tests. So we'll see. Or does it say in here? Yeah. It just says all enemy units must take a battle shock test, not just those under half strength. Okay, so maybe it isn't a double up, but still, making everyone who's taken any damage take a battle shock test is quite nice. So weirdly, we've got the enhancement first. Who knows why? Not going to complain. You're going to start off with Lord of Dread. You pick 1 unit in the fight phase that's in engagement range of the bearer, and they have to take a battle shock test. This is fine. You get bonuses for having, battle shock things, so it's quite nice to be able to do that. I think this depends on points and how meaningful battle shock ends up being.
Yeah,
it's not something you're happy to have if you're playing against Dark Angels, that's for sure. The first Chaos army that was shown off yesterday.
Yes.
Then we have got the Traitor's Mark. The Doom and Darkness ability is active for the bearer from the first battle round onwards, not the third. So basically, this means if a unit is battle shocked, you're getting +1 to wound against them, and they're getting -1 to hit against you. It's quite a nice little combo there. Yeah. Although whether you're going to be able to force out the battle shock on turn 1, it kind of feels like you're pulling it forwards by 1 turn, maybe. So we'll see how effective that is.
It's not bad. Not bad.
I'm going to go for Panoply of the Cursed Knights next. Knights won't take long, says Existence. I think you're very right. And I'm going to speedrun those motherfuckers. Panoply of the Cursed Knights. Each time an attack is made against the bearer, -1 I pay. Fantastic rule. They still don't have invulns in combat, as far as I can tell. So the extra AP, like the AP reduction, the Armor of Contempt effect, that is really nice to have. It's super valuable. Existence says, just a quick shout out that only one of the War Dogs is a character, whereas all of the other knights are characters. So yeah, so it's quite difficult to put upgrades on the War Dogs, but it does let you run an all War Dog list. That's a good shout. I hadn't caught that there. Excellent job. And finally, the last one is Aura of Terror. So if you control an objective mark at the end of your command phase, it taints the objective marker. It stays your control, and then it gives you a 12-inch bubble of the despair, basically. So it's very similar to the rules that we've been seeing. So, if your opponents get near it, they have to take the battle shocks at -1 and leadership tests at -1. You keep it if they're not on it. It's just a great rule to have. And it is in the command phase, so it's a little hard to pull off, but knights are typically harder to remove. So this will be quite nice to have there. Stratagems. Dreadhounds. This is returning. So shooting or fight phase, pick 2 or more War Dogs and 1 enemy unit. So basically, you're just saying, I'm calling my shot here. everyone in this sort of like all of these models are going to attack this single unit. And all of the attacks have to go into that unit. You can't send them anywhere else, but they get sustained hits 1. And if the enemy is battle shocked, it's a crit hit of 5+. So
Whoa.
yeah,
That's not bad.
it like the thing that this is good in melee, obviously, but in the shooting
Mhm.
phase, like if you can get if you've got like a Death Star to kill, you're just going to say, hey, look, you've got 10 Terminators. I haven't managed to battle shock you. Shame. But I'm going to put my entire army into you. So I'm just getting sustained hits 1 on all my War Dogs. And that's such a like a huge buff to be able to just pop on someone.
That's really nice.
And for 1 CP, it's you can't hate it. The only downside is that it has to be eligible targets. So you can't charge 1 War Dog in and use it in the fight phase. That's the only downside. Then we've got Terror Shades, which is in any phase after an enemy target fails a battle shock test, because they can fail battle shock tests at any time, and they will. And basically, a Chaos Knight unit within 12 inches of it, roll 66, on a 4-up, they take a mortal wound, and you heal a wound. It's nice. It's just little splash damage when you need it.
Yeah.
You can take a unit off the objective in their command phase, so they can fail the battle shock test. You can go, cool, there's only 1 model. Here's the strat. Oh, you took the damage.
Didn't it?
You what, sorry? Yes,
it
used to happen in the morale phase. Now it's a bit more flexible.
Nice.
Quite good there. Disdain for the weak, also 1 CP. Fight phase. After an enemy unit has selected its target, you get a 6-up Feel No Pain or a 5-up Feel No Pain against a Battle Shock model. Can you tell there's some Battle Shock synergy in there?
Yeah, it seems to be the gimmick, I think.
It really does. It really does. A long leash. Select 1 abhorrent model and the 3 War Dogs, and until the end of the start of your next command phase, the War Dogs are in range of the aura abilities the abhorrent has. This is just nice. You can get some rerolls, you can get some other buffs. If you're taking an abhorrent, you probably want it to give buffs out, so this just lets you have, as it says on the strat, a longer leash. Diabolic Bulwark. This is incredible. CP are more scarce, I know that, but for 1 CP in the shooting phase, you get a 4-up invuln against ranged attacks. This used to be 3 CP if you wanted to use it on a tyrant. It's now 1.
Is that the big one? That's the big knights, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously it couldn't be 3 CP if you're only getting like 2 CP a turn, but it just feels so good now. You get so much value.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Absolutely. All right, so then we've got Knights of the Shade, a movement phase or charge phase, up to 2 War Dogs or 1 Titanic, and they can move horizontally through models and terrain features as if they were not there. Quick shout out to Craig, one of my mates who tried to make the really, really bad Korvax Knights work quite a lot last edition, and it was bad purely for this ability, the stratagem to move through walls. Now it's just here. You don't have to take bad rules to get it, which is just really fantastic. It's such a good rule to have.
Yeah, it is fantastic.
Jack Tight, who plays with a House Korvax detachment in his that's like one of the main things. You're so used to trying to measure around terrain to see where something can get to, and he's just like, yeah, cool. So I'm gonna
ignore and go straight for it.
He'll tell you you can do it, but then he'll do it, and you'll go, oh shit. Great stratagem there. Perfect. So we are going on to, first of all, something we haven't seen for a while. This is points dependent, but the Knight Tyrant. I fucking love this model. It has had such a glow up. It is still slow as fuck. This is a problem, admittedly. An 8-inch move is not good when you've got to go, you've got to wriggle around things. But it is T13. It now has a 2-up save, 24 wounds. Leadership 6 is fine. OC 10 is very nice. Yeah, exactly. It still explodes for a ridiculous amount of mortal wounds. It's D6 plus 2 now.
D6 plus 2. Wow.
The weapons are exactly as you'd expect. You've got, the hilarious anti-vehicle, anti-monster, devastating wounds harpoon. I don't mind it in this context because it's so ridiculous. I don't even think that the harpoon and flamer is the best combo, but I think it's the most fun combo.
Definitely fun.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got some missile launchers on the top, which are anti-Titanic 4+, which is wild. So that's going to be most of the time just sort of like, oh shit, I rolled a 6 to wound. Oh, cool. But then into the Titanic match, it'd be like, you are dead, fucko.
Fucking Knights.
Absolutely, big fan of that. Yeah, just like everything on here is fantastic. The Brimstone Volcano Lance, great. its
It looks
D3 shots is a bit unreliable, but like when you connect, you're going to be absolutely picking up rhinos. You know, you're killing a lot of vehicles on 2s here, which is just such a good rule. The plasma is going to pick up terminators, even if they armor of contempt. If they're not in cover, or if you've somehow ignored cover, I'm not sure if you can do that. I haven't seen that combo yet. You know, you're putting them on the fun, which is going to be really big, I think. But then it has some great rules. Can't set up as reinforcements within 12 inches of this model. Just a great start. Knights struggle to screen out the backfield, so having something that just does a big 30-inch bubble because its base is so big is really nice.
Yeah,
and also it provides cover within 6 inches to war dogs. That's just really good.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Behind this tower going, fuck it. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. That's really cool.
What I will say is it can have 2 of these Geist Strike missile launchers and 2 desecrator cannons. It used to be that you could only shoot 1 of these a turn. I guess you can now shoot both of the big devastating wound missile launchers in the same turn if you want to. Just really.
Are they one
they're not one shot. They used to be 1 shot. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just nice then. All right, big fan of that. Cool. And then the Stompy Feet, it does actually get some AP on there. So 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 8, AP 1, 2 damage. It's not why you bring it, but at least it'll pick up a Marine each time it fights, for example.
Points dependent. It looks quite good, but then
that's always the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's only like 600 points as it is, or something like that. So
one of the disappointing things was it didn't buff the little dudes last edition. So yeah. Right. Let's go straight to the next one, which is the Brigand. These are all going to be quite quick. So just to note here, squad size is 1. So you're only able to bring 3 Brigands. So you have to take more variety with your War Dogs now, which is quite nice.
Oh, you can't squadron
no,
up anymore.
But I think that's fine. They have like 5 or 6 different types of War Dogs. So don't feel bad for them. They just take variety now. So their special rule is if you're making ranged attack against the closest enemy unit, increase their AP by 1. It's really good. Like Avenger Chain Cannon going back to AP2.
Yeah, that's good.
That's just a good rule. There's not much to say about it. Everything on here is cool. The Demon Breath Spear is fantastic. Strength 12, AP 4, D6, Melter 4. Such a great rule. Good spot there. Existence says you can take 6 of each as they are all battle line, which is such a great shout. In theory, you can just take 1 million of them. So
it don't make no difference. Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely, yeah. Big fan of that there. And they've just got the same sort of stat line as we're expecting to see. Movement 12, T10, just a great stat line. OC8 is fantastic. I'm a real fan of that.
Oh, OC8. Oh, that's really good.
Now that troops have OC2, it feels like you need something along those lines to be worthwhile. But big definitely. Fan of that. Cool. Moving swiftly on, we've got the Carnivore. So his jank is he's a little bit faster. He's got a lot of attacks. He's got 6 attack space, which is really good because one of the things I was concerned about is that one of the things holding up Chaos Knights was the detachment to give them +1 attack and AP, and it feels like they've kind of rolled that in across the board where it's eligible.
Yeah, you've got it baked in now.
He doesn't have much fun about him, but he can reroll charges. That's just good. Reroll charges.
For a guy that wants to be in combat, yeah.
It does what it says on the tin. I'm not going to complain about it. Exactly. It still has the same Havoc launcher. It's still just as bad. I'm not going to talk about it because it's just a little bit disappointing. Good job. Nobody has good indirect in this game. Cool. Going on to melee beasts, we have got the Knight Rampager. He is a 12-inch move, which is fast for a big boy. He's got the standard Knight stat line, 12 wounds, 3-up save, 22 wounds, OC 10, which is same as the Tyrant, but this is, I think, going to be more important to have OC 10 on, because let's not fuck about. On his Bloodlust, if he makes a charge, he gets sustained hits 1. This is good for a purely melee knight. This is a really good rule. He's got potentially 18 attacks, so that's a really nice rule to have. In addition, once per battle, when this model is eligible to declare a charge, try that again. In addition, once per battle, it is eligible to declare a charge in a turn which is advanced. Once per game, advanced charge.
That is nice.
Yep. Suddenly, really turn 1. If you advance, there's not much. there's no downside to advancing this, and you don't
No,
have to call your shot until you charge. So
no.
you can just roll your advance turn 1 and be like, oh, I rolled a 1, cool. I'll just sit on this objective like 8 inches forwards and 5 inches over to the side. Oh, I rolled a 6, cool. I'm charging those 3 Lehman Rust that you put on the line. I'm not sorry. Huge fan of that. It also has a really nice aura of reroll 1s to hit for warthogs within 9 inches. Just a great buff to give out there. And again, with the stratagem, you could theoretically send some carnivores off to the other side. Yeah, and Existence says to start moving through buildings with that strat. You absolutely can do that. That is going to be a nightmare.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is Rampage of flipping over walls.
I
And
know.
just
Isn't it
punching stuff
fantastic?
down.
Like, this is such a
Yeah,
fun
it's
model.
amazing. It is.
I don't have one. My Chaos Knights are behind me. You can't see them; they're behind the mystery banner. But I may have to chuck one of these
You
together
need
because
one. You definitely
this
need
is the
one.
non-Forge World Knight that I'm most impressed by.
Yeah,
We haven't seen the
he's
Forge World Knights
good.
yet, but yeah, he looks amazing. I'm really,
Mhm.
really liking him. And we're going to end off with the Huntsman, because the Huntsman, this is like the bog standard armature that you can get for normal Imperial Knights.
Yeah, the war
Here's
games,
the
isn't it?
thing. Demon Breath Spear is good. It's a lower range. It's only 24 inches. 2 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 12, AP 4, D6 plus 4 if you're in range.
Mhm.
That's a really good anti-vehicle
Yeah.
profile for an army that might struggle with volume of high damage there. It's okay in combat. It's kind of whatever. But you just straight up reroll 1s to hit and wound. Sorry, no, to wound and damage against vehicles and monsters. That's nice.
Yeah.
If you think that the meta is going to be vehicles, plop 3 of these in your list. They're pretty self-sufficient. Maybe you give them all sustained hits as you go, and you're like, "Hey, I'm just throwing, melter downfield. Oh, I rolled a couple of 6s. Sucks to be you." Yeah.
That's quite nice. I like it.
I'd like to have reroll hit rolls of 1 more, so it affects the shooting and the melee equally, because here the damage, you don't need to reroll the damage rolls, but damage rolls are 1. It's not bad when you've got a d6 swingy weapon. Daniel Hammond says, didn't think the Forge World Knights were going to Legend. No, I don't believe they are. I think the Forge World Index is coming later on. I haven't been told when. I have heard that it could take longer than we might expect. It might not come in launch, but we'll have to see on that one. And then I do have. Oh, I didn't ask. Did you have a disappointing unit for your demons? I don't think you did. I think you liked everything, didn't you?
Oh no, Nurglings.
Nurglings. Oh, okay. Are they OC0?
Yeah, they are. They
All
are.
right.
Now the blue horrors infiltrate. They're just so much better. So yeah, they're not that good.
So my disappointing unit is the War Dog Executioner. It's not
Really?
bad. It's not bad. But
Right.
this rule is so frustrating. Like, I know they've got execution of the rule, but I don't care about adding 1 to hits against half strength models. Like,
yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's nice. It's better than nothing. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like,
this is probably what you want to soften things up with before you. I guess maybe not. Maybe you use the melter to soften things up and then finish off with this. Maybe in practice it's fine. I just looked at that. I was like, oh, could it not be the other way around? The Ballistara Dread gets reroll hits, I think, versus models.
Yeah, but that's Marines. Marines get everything.
Good.
You can't compare anything against Marines. You can know this.
Fucking
Marines
stop
get
me.
what they want.
Cool. So that was a whistle stop tour on Chaos Knights. I'm actually super jazzed about them. I'm really looking forward to playing.
They look good from what I've seen.
Yeah.
They look fun. They look really fun. I can't lie.
And
That big
most
old punchy knight is cool.
Existence, I know you feel the same about me. Most important thing in here is that the Hellfire rule does not get the issue because it's anti-monster on the devastating wounds. So you're safe. They can't do bullshit to us if we play knights. He says Brigands look so much better than Executioners. Yeah, Brigands look really nice. I really like the rule for extra AP. In addition where AP's been kind of squished, it's nice to have that. Cool. So we're going to have to really rush here because we've got 16 minutes, but we're going to go through Chaos Space Marines. These are the 3 that I wanted to talk about. I know you wanted to do Demons. I wanted to do Chaos Knights. And I think CSM are like the most general appeal and honestly the most fun out of all of them, I personally think. Yeah, so, Dark Pact. Take a leadership test. If you fail it, take D3 mortal wounds. That's not bad. There are ways to mitigate it. It's just in general pretty solid. You get either lethal hits 1 or sustained hits 1. Great rule. You can also take up to 25% of your army as Khorne Berserkers, Rubrics, or Plague Marines from the other indexes. And they just get the keywords. They don't you don't sort of half get them as cult marines the way that you did in 9th edition. So that's quite nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
I haven't fully looked into these, whether you're going to want to. Some of the buffs that you put on rubric marines are kind of what really make them good. So we'll see, especially now that they don't bring spells in the same way that they did last edition. We'll have to have a look. Illiwaddle says traitor guard time. I didn't put traitor guard on the list. I'm so sorry. I should have done, but they do have rules, which is nice. I'm a big fan of that. I have got some traitor guard here on my desk that are not painted, so you can't see them. But I was starting to convert up back when I was planning on doing those in December. Right, quick. Marks of Khorne. We didn't see this. I think we somehow didn't get shown this, which is why. But yeah, these are fucking awesome. So if it isn't if you pick it when you pick a unit, if it's not an epic hero and it doesn't already have a keyword, like for example Noise Marines have Slanesh, you have to pick one on your roster. I don't believe they're going to cost any points. I think it's just a straight up everyone gets one. Khorne, you get lethal hits. Sorry, if you pick lethal hits in the fight phase for your Dark Pact, it's on a 5+. Siege, lethal hits on a 5+ in the shooting phase. Nurgle, sustained hits in the shooting phase on a 5+. Slanesh, sustained hits in the melee if it's a 5+, and then Chaos Divided is reroll hit rolls of 1. So that's great. All of them really good. The thing I need to really quickly point out is it says here an unmodified hit roll of a 5+ scores a critical hit, not for this ability, just in general. So if you stack any other rules on top of them, and you can do that, you can do some stuff.
They're really good. They're really good.
You can't make a Khorne Psyker, obviously, and characters do have to join the same type, which does nullify some of the bullshit I got very immediately excited about. It makes sense. So strat-wise, they have got Armor of Contempt. Infernal Rites. It's the same thing. It has exactly the same limitations. Wait, hold on. It's 2 CP? Games Workshop. What the fuck?
Typical. That's classic DW.
That is so classic. There must be some busted combos out there. Existence, I have got at least 2 for you, so just you wait and see. So I'm just going to quickly say, I had a couple of people hitting me up to buy models ahead of about 6 or 8 weeks ago, just seeing if I had any they were trying to get hold of. And one of the units that they were trying to get hold of was Possessed. And that made me go, oh, I guess Possessed is stupid busted in 10th edition. So we'll get to that very soon. Okay, so here's in fact, tell you what, we'll just go straight into it because Profane Zeal. Shooting or fight phase, 1 Heretic Astartes unit that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. You get reroll 1s to hit or wound. If you are Chaos Undivided, you reroll all hits and all wounds. That's so good. There's a couple of units that's really good on. The Obliterators that I'm not going to talk about here just because I don't have time. But let me just quickly go to the Possessed data sheet because this is my first pick. And I know I'm going out of sequence here, but you'll see why. So Possessed have a pretty decent stat line. 9-inch move, 6 toughness, 3 up armor save, 3 wounds. OC1 is fine. They're a blender unit. They have a leadership of 6, which is decent. They have a 5 up invuln, which is really nice. They can reroll their leadership tests for Dark Pact, so they're less likely to fuck themselves up, which is just nice to have. Each time this unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Devastating Wounds ability. Right, so
I can already see where this is going.
So am I going to pick sustained hits, reroll everything, get loads of hits, roll all my wounds, reroll everything that's not a 6, and then just shit out a load of 2 damage mortal wounds, like 2 sets of mortal wounds at a time? Yes, I am going to do that. And don't worry, they have all the good keywords. They have infantry, which is the keyword you want. So yeah. Did you feel safe, Franco, with your invuns? Were you like, mortal weapons can't hold me?
That's scary. That's really scary.
These demons are better than your demons, son.
They are. They actually are, and that's really annoying.
Here's the thing: nobody who was trying to buy those off me actually had the points, so I don't know if they're pointed appropriately. It is possible that they are pointed out of existence, which fine if they are. I don't think they will be, but there is a potential saving grace there.
I reckon 40 points each.
Oh god, yeah. If they're 40 points each, then I don't think we see them, and I'm okay with that. Cool. So back to stratagems, because you're going to re-roll all. Oh, and the key point here is you don't make them. Leave them chaos undivided. Ela Wussel says, I'm loving that each batch of index releases reveals some new busted combinations. That is very fair. Not all of them, not Space Wolves. Sorry, Space Wolves.
Or else Space Wolves.
Yeah. Like Black Templars didn't feel busted. They just felt like really solid. But like almost every index has something you're just like, oh no. And it's always devastating wounds, and it's always re-rolling those wounds.
It's always all the wounds.
The reason that I'm so excited about 10th edition still is all of these things that are so stupid. I'm expecting them to fix day one. I have heard there may be a day one FAQ. We don't know for certain, but that is what people are expecting. So we'll see. Eternal Hate, 1 CP, fight on death and a 4-up. And here's where it starts getting interesting. If you're Khorne, you get +1 to that roll. So Khorne, fight on death on a 3+. Such a fantastic rule. I really love that they've made, because there's only 6 strats. They've given 1 to each god, but they've done it in a way where you're not punished for taking it if you're not that god.
You get it for all the gods. You just get a bonus if you are that god.
Exactly, which is such a good way of doing it. It was a good rule already.
Smart. It's very smart. Yeah.
Fighting on death and a 3-up, really good. Much better than fighting on death for, like every time for 2 CP, in my opinion.
At least, you have to roll it.
Skin Shift. This is Zinch. This is a great one. Command phase. You heal a model for up to 3 lost wounds. Any model that you want. Ooh. If it's Zinch, though, and it's below starting strength, return a destroyed model in addition. So if you have, for example, some possessed, one of them's on 1 wound, you spend a CP, you heal it to full, you put another one down with incoherency, which puts it onto an objective or puts it closer to a charge or puts it where your opponent doesn't want it to be. And you're like, cool, thanks for trying to kill my models. You didn't, though. You suck. Yeah, great. Absolutely.
It sounds like it might be quite good on obliterators as well.
Yeah.
I assume obliterators and possess can take marks again now, right?
Yes, yeah, everything can. Right. We have 8 minutes, so we're going fast. Dark Obscuration. When your opponent targets a unit in the shooting phase, it gives them stealth, and it gives them, you can only target them within 12 inches if they're Nurgle. That's such a great rule. I assume you get to it doesn't say you get to retarget. Guess you just lose your shooting if you've got that. That's nice. And Unnatural Swiftness, you can shoot and charge in a turn you fell back. Great rule. If you're Slaanesh, you could do that if you advanced as well. 1 CP. That's a winner. So some real fantastic rules there. You love to see it. Let me just see if anyone's messaging me saying get off the channel. No, we're all good so far. Cool. We are going to first page. We've seen Possessed already. We're doing great. Terminators. So here's rusted combo number 2. Each time this unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase, you can reroll the hit roll. You just get inbuilt reroll hits, which is so good because you're taking a Dark Pact, and you're probably going to go with either Khorne or Slaanesh. I quite like Slaanesh because you can give them advance and charge. But the strat here that I see is you put a librarian in the squad, a sorcerer, a Terminator sorcerer, who gives reroll, advance, and charge rolls. You rapid ingress them in your opponent's turn for 1 CP. You're like, oh, okay, I'm going to pay a CP. It's whatever. You do it somewhere that's safe. Comes round to your turn. You advance. You reroll the advance if it's bad because of the Terminator sorcerer. So you're probably going about 9 or 10 inches. Then you're spending a CP, and you get to advance and charge. And then also, oh, hey, Dark Pact, rerolling all the hits, sustained hits on 5s. You're an absolute blender. Each model is probably going with, I think the loadout you go for is probably 1 Chain Fist, 2 to 3 Power Fists, at least 1 paired Accursed Weapon, and then fill with the last one, and this is per 5. And then you'll take in the combi weapons, the Reaper autocannons where you can. You can shit out mortal wounds at range. You can just shit out wounds in melee. It's such a good unit. Daniel says, did Chaos actually get something good this time? How do they stack up against their Imperial counterparts? It is hard to say. They don't have anywhere near as much mortal wound shenanigans, which is good and bad. It's good because I'm expecting devastating wounds to get nerfed. I really hope it does. It's bad because Devastating Wounds is the name of the game. So if we are playing a 9th edition game, this is a really good unit, and that's kind of the world that I'm living in at the moment, because I'm expecting them to not allow the Mortal Wound shenanigans to go forwards for too long, because I think that would just make the game pretty unplayable. Cool. So we've got that. Onto unit number 3, Demon Prince without wings, because they're the good ones now. Which is like, this is not the best example of them, but I still think it's pretty good. So he's, a bit of a beat stick. If you take him as Nurgle, he gets +1 to toughness, for example. You don't feel bad about that. Most importantly, he gives a 6-inch aura of cover, and then he's got some re-rolls on himself. This is just a nice little buffing character. There are, I think the Nurgle one might be better in terms of the Death Guard one that was shown, but I just wanted to show this because it's such a nice, like, he's really hard to kill. He's going to be T11 if you take Nurgle, for example. He's got a 4-up invuln. It's just a solid buffing unit to put in. It's points depending, but I'm so happy that there's actually a reason to take a foot one, because look at the flying one. Oh, I do mortal wounds on the charge, and
his toughness is less.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So foot characters feel good in this edition, which is really nice. Cool, big fan of that. Lucius the Eternal. He has rules. He's a duelist. He's got precision. He can try and snipe you out. He's pretty good at that. He can get back up. He does mortal wounds. All of these things are good. In the interest of time, I'm gonna direct you to 2 words: fights first. Then I'm going to point you to 2 lines. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the fights first ability. This is incredible. He is the only source of fights first in the book. It is the first thing I check in every index, because it is so busted good. There is very difficult to play around. Yeah, he's just great. He can join Legionnaires and Noise Marines. It depends. We'll have to see if those are good units. Legionnaires are looking fairly solid as a cheap unit. Noise Marines could be good. But if either of those units are worth putting a fights worth first character in, he's a beefy boy, and he just kills your character as well. And I guess he's got a flamer, because why not? Like, that's just cool. Final unit that we want to talk about here is the Exalted Champion. This is like,
I forgot he existed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't think he's the best unit in the book. He might not even make it into your list, but look at this rule here. +1 to hit when he's leading a unit. So everyone's just hitting on 2s. For so long, lieutenants have just been like, whatever. Now, if you're looking at like a foot slogging Legionnaire list, you might legitimately just go, cool. Let's say an Exalted Champion 60 points. Maybe I want to run lots of bricks of foot infantry and just put cheap characters in all of them and buff them up. I think that's really cool. I really like that. Yeah, really solid. And he also adds D3 to the strength of his weapon when he makes a Dark Pact, so he can be up to strength 8. It doesn't really matter. It's more like between strength 6 and 7. It's cool. It's cool. I like it. It's a lot of fun. And then for this one, I do have a unit that I just want to point out as a disappointment. It's the Lord Discordant.
I've heard some rumblings that he's been smashed to pieces.
So you can target him anywhere. He still has the sort of rule for dealing with vehicles. He has an okay rule for doing better against vehicles. He's lost his mortal wounds against vehicles in melee, and his shooting is meh. He's T9, and he's got a 5-up invuln. Like, if he's not cheap, he just goes away.
He won't be cheap either. He'll be close to 200.
He absolutely won't be cheap. That was there. Given that Ela Wazzle says Traitor Guard, I don't have Traitor Guard for you, but I will just quickly say, because we haven't had time to look at them properly. Thousand Sons cultists, they have a great rule. If you destroy a unit with them on a 2+ gain a CP, if they are destroyed on a 2+ gain a CP, Horns of Fate, the fickle winds of the warp. Such a great rule there. You don't feel bad about taking these at all. Lovely stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a very fast one. We are going to have to go now because there is another stream getting ready to go.
Right now.
Absolutely. I won't be talking about any more Chaos rules because we have Imperial rules coming tomorrow. I'm so sorry. I'd love to if I could, but I'm going to be rushed off my feet tomorrow as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great evening, everyone. Stick around on this channel. In 50 minutes, we'll be going live with 6++.